Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a whole new episode of Full Steam Ahead. I'm your host, Zoe, with my partner on crime, Cantu. How we doing this
We're
week,
doing
my man?
good. We're doing good. Spring break for all the teachers out there. I know they're getting some well needed break. I hope they feel rejuvenated. But how are you doing?
We're doing good over here. Lovely Tuesday, lovely Monday that we're recording it. But for people to listen to us on this Tuesday morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time you're listening, we're doing absolutely perfect. Baseball season's almost here. I mean, spring
Yeah,
training's almost done. About, I want to say, a good
halfway
17
done.
days. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
16
halfway
to
done.
17 days till opening day. So baseball season is just around the corner.
Absolutely. And we have a jam packed episode. But before we get started on all that, check out that ticker in the bottom. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and follow us on all our social media accounts: Twitter, Instagram, wherever you wherever you spend your quality time. We're there. Go find us on any social media platform. But um, a little bit of what's to come. Obviously, we're starting with Astros Roundup. That's never miss. Injury updates, game recaps, and some untamed bananas in Minute Park that were there, and talk about around the horn. So start us off.
Yep, episode 163, pitching and bananas, like Angel said. Let's start with injury updates on Astros Roundup. Of course, the first and big foremost, we didn't get to address it the last episode we talked about, but Justin Verlander. He will be throwing a bullpen session on Wednesday. On Monday, Joe Spada said that Verlander, quote, feels good. So that's a great sign to see. And then he said after JV reaches 60 65 pitches in a bullpen and recovers pretty well from that, quote, will make our next move. It's based on body and feel and shape of his pitches. That's how we evaluate his situation. And like I said, the news broke out, I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday of last week, Angel, that he was not going to be pitching the beginning of the season, that he's going to start on the IL. So, I mean, what do you think of the move? Because we had talked about it. Worst case scenario, Verlander is shut down uh, before he gets to even start an opening day. Even worse would be prolonging it to like May, June, things like that. If you would have let him continue to pitch and possibly have an opening day start. So, give me your thoughts. What do you think about this move of him being on the IL for the beginning of the season?
It's not a big thing to me. Again, it's a sprint. I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So, um, as long as Justin Verlander is healthy for the majority of the season, I think it'll go well for the Astros. Missing a start or two early on uh, might not be the difference. Like the way the season plays out. Yes, they have two tough teams. They have the Yankees that are coming into town, and then they go to Texas. So there'll be some pretty tough competition. But I think the Astros have the depth. They still got Valdez. They got Javier, who looks good. Bruno Blanco looks good. Urquidy's looking good. So I think they have like enough pitching to get them by, and then you can't forget about that lineup as well. So they're going to score points. I know the Astros are traditionally slow starters, but having Justin Verlander on the bub's not going to change you know like an outcome for a starter too. So I think like as long as he's healthy throughout the entire year, that means much more than the Astros and him being ready for opening day.
Yeah, like you were saying, a little bit touch on with the pitching depth. I mean, think about last year. The Astros didn't have Justin Verlander because he obviously had signed with the New York Mets. And your opening day starter was Framber Valdez. You go to Christian Javier, Jose Urquidy, like you said, Hunter Brown. Now you got guys like JP France coming into the mix. Ronel Blanco looking good in spring training so far for the Astros. We'll give about his pitching stats here this spring in a minute. And then obviously too, you could throw out Brandon Belak. Belak's been that kind of guy for the Astros for the past 2 years, I would say. When you need a guy to eat some extra innings or pitch some quality games, I think Brandon Belak did a fascinating job doing that last year. Well, the last 2 years, I would say, for the Astros. So, like you said, the guys have some depth. Just in case they can't put Verlander quickly as possible. Like you said, it's not a marathon. It's not a sprint. No, it's a sprint or is it a marathon? Which one is it? Nope, you're on mute. So you got to help me out. Is it a marathon or is it a sprint?
It's a marathon, not a sprint. That's how it
There it is. You
is.
see, I always get confused with them. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. But some other news on Lance McCullers Jr. Was on Foul Territory TV talking to AJ Predinsky. They have their show on YouTube. So if you didn't know about them, go check them out. But he had shared some big news on his rehab with those guys. And McCullers said he'll start throwing from 105 to 120 feet for the first time in back-to-back days since I believe since his surgery, I would say. So
Hmm.
that big step in his rehab process. Obviously, he's not going to be coming into play in the beginning of the season. You're looking at the target date of June, mid June, July. I believe there's a tweet out there that Chandler Rome had posted about McCullers possibly looking into a rehab start around June. So that's a big step for this guy because, like you said, the depth's there, but at the same time, too, with Lance McCullers Jr., what he can do and bring to the table with some starts, and possibly he can even be a guy that's in the bullpen for the Astros. So big things for him to come. Obviously, if anything, there's no setbacks or nothing like that. A positive step for him in his rehab process.
Absolutely. And then some other guys to look for too is Luis Garcia, who was doing some tower drills in the Astros bullpen. Those are two big guys, like you said. Lance McCullers not going to be back to the All Star break. Luis Garcia is not going to be back to the All Star break as well, and I'm sure he's going to have a rehab assignment as well. But those are two key guys that the Astros can't wait to have back.
Yeah, so real quick, I did find the tweet when you were talking about Luis Garcia. Chandler Rome had said on Foul Territory TV, Lance McCullers Jr. said his flexor tendon surgery has a 13 to 15 month recovery. He had surgery last June 13. McCullers was to aim for that 13-month timeline. He said going on a rehab assignment in late June, early July would be a big W for me. End quote. That was McCullers that had said that about late June, early July. So 13, 15 months, that's a long time, but at the same time, the rehab process, you've seen different pitchers out there too coming off Tommy John surgeries quickly early. Think about football players, their Achilles surgery, quickly getting onto the field and being able to play and practice. Like, for instance, Aaron Rodgers was one of them. Who's another guy that J.K.
Was it
Dobbins from the Ravens?
Barkley as well, or no? Or was that an ACL?
I want to say Barkley was an ACL.
Okay.
Not 100% sure, but I mean, just talking about the recovery process and being able to rehab not just quickly, but the right way, getting, your extra reps in wherever you're doing in the weight room or just rehabbing, just, different types of drills that the PT people, physical therapists are having you do to get you back on that field. So big step for Lance McCullers heading into the right direction and possibly going late June, early July, like he had said.
Yeah, absolutely.
And last but not least, on injury updates, Jose Abreu, he's had a decent spring training so far, going into the games, but he's looking to come back soon because he has dealt with some right knee soreness. He did do some running drills on Monday. He'll take some ground balls today on Tuesday, but he's been sidelined since March 9th after tweaking his knee when he slid into the bullpen mound, attempting to make a catch. He was leaping a little bit in that game. He did stay in the game, but Joe Espada said, we're just going to have him rest, make sure there's nothing to kind of quickly get going. At the same time, you do want to get your reps in. You want to be able to see them live BPs, not BPs, but live ABs and things like that. But being able to be healthy for the beginning of the season is very important for Jose Abreu, Joe Espada, and the Astros.
Yeah, and Abreu is 37, so if that was Jerry Payne is setting to bullpen mound, like you're not like I'm sure he'll be back, the next day. But once you get older, that body tends to heal a lot slower and sooner. So again, just like Justin Verlander, he's up there in age too. So you want him ready for the majority of the season. So there's no need to rush back when you're just playing exhibition games.
Yeah, I mean, people say some of these games really don't count, but it does count, honestly,
Hmm.
not just to these young guys, but for the veterans as well, because they're getting to
Your
play
reps.
their reps in, like you're saying, seeing live ABs as well. That's a big thing, I'd say, coming into a player standpoint. It's different when you're doing, you're against your same starters, against the same relievers that you've played against a long time, but seeing different pitchers, different types of pitches that they're throwing at you, where they're throwing at it, trying to get better. I think that's the biggest thing going into spring training is just improving and getting things together before the start of the spring.
Yeah, and we've seen some guys take advantage of spring training and showing out. Like, tell us a, li- tell us a little bit more about that.
So yeah, let's start off with the next one. Starting pitching just continues to be remarkable for the Astros this spring. Ronel Blanco, that's the guy that you were trying to emphasize a lot, but I mean, he's looked really good. Fastball's there, off speeds are moving. It's looking really promising for this kid that he could honestly be on the opening day roster. In 3 games, he's thrown 7 and 2/3 innings pitch, allowing 4 hits, no earned runs, giving up 2 walks, and striking out 8. Zero ERA, and an opponent batting average of 154. So this guy,
Solid.
honestly to me, if they do go up into a 6-man rotation, he could be the guy in that 6th spot for the Astros coming in, in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, just like last season, he will get his chance. It's just a matter of if he can be consistent up there. I know he struggled a little bit. Not with like I'm not gonna say command necessarily because like his problem was that he would leave a bunch of stuff out over the plate instead of locating, the corners, and that would hurt him a little bit. And that's what some that back and forth between the majors and minors. But if he can find it like he has this spring and he can continue that success in regular season, he can be a really like wild horse for the Astros, like a guy that you knew was there but didn't think would be a major factor this season. I think that's the guy to look for.
Yeah, so like just projecting just of right now for the beginning of the season in this starting rotation, you're going Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, Jose Urquidy, Hunter Brown, JP France. That is your if JP France is um if everything goes well in his throwing regimen. I haven't had no updates. I haven't seen no updates on his right shoulder inflammation. If it's gotten better, but I think I've seen maybe a couple tweets that it's gotten better and the progress has been going pretty smooth for him, and he'd be ready for the beginning of the season. But if JP France isn't ready, then you could pull a guy like Ronel Blanco into that 5th spot, or like we are saying, if they do decide to go in a 6-man rotation in the beginning of the season, then obviously Blanco would be your guy in that 6th spot.
Yeah.
And to me, you say like it wasn't his command. I think another part of pitching, not just for the hitters, but for pitchers as well, is confidence. If he doesn't have
Hmm.
that confidence to be on that mound in the big spot in the big leagues, then nothing's gonna go right for you. But like you were saying, I mean, this guy has done it from last year. He's had his chance. He's probably gonna get another chance this coming year. So far, I mean, this start of the spring training, he's looking so good that he looks like there's a spot that's gonna be open for him. And it's been surprising to me too that they haven't used him in a bullpen role because I thought that was a guy that you could use in the bullpen for middle relief innings, long relief innings, stuff like that. I would say, but 3 games starting and not giving up any runs, 154 opponent batting average. I mean, that's pretty promising for the Astros.
Yeah, I think to answer your question of why they haven't used him at a bullpen role is because I think, and I'm just trying to go into Joe Espada's mindset, is you already have Justin Verlander out for a few starts. You have France that is probably going to be gone for a few starts. Eric Getty probably will make the opening day roster. So you you might have to count on Renault Blanco to get that 5th or 6th start into the season as well.
Yeah, and I think he could be that guy to be able to step up. Like we said, he's pitched in the Dominican Winter League. Over there, I think it's very, very what's the word? Like it's very competitive. That's what I was trying to say. And I think he has a great shot of being on that opening day roster and possibly being that starting rotation for the beginning of the season. So just have to continue seeing how he progresses through each and every game and every start that he pitches. But next up is Jose Urquidy, another guy that's been getting his reps in, being able to stay healthy. That's going to be the biggest key for him because last year he dealt with some injuries. He also dealt with some mechanic issues, tipping as well that he had addressed, and he that's what he believed that had happened. So far this spring too, he's been another guy that's looked promising for the Astros. In 3 games, he's thrown 9 innings, 9 hits, only given up 1 earned run, 0 walks, 6 strikeouts. Has a 1 ERA. Opponent batting average is 257. But the thing with Urquidy is he's going to have these hitters put the ball in play. He's not a guy that's going to strike out a bunch of hitters. That's going to give you 8 to 10 to possibly not even 7 strikeouts. He's kind of a ground ball fly out kind of guy like Framber Valdez. Um, but Valdez obviously could get strikeouts. But Urquidy, on the other hand, he's going to make these guys put the ball in play. He's going to have that defense behind him. Defense has been a big emphasis too coming into this spring for Joe Espada. As long as the defense is behind him, making the plays for him, getting that ground ball to fly out ratio, I shouldn't see no problem for Kitty to continue doing what he's been doing this spring for the Astros to carry on the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think he'll have a bounce back season. I think that's one of the players to look back for. And we're talking about. I think like we mentioned, mightily, Jeremy Pena
Mhm.
having a bounce back season, and Rafael Montero. But look at Jose Urquidy. I know he had struggled with an injury, and the end of the season didn't go the way he wanted to. So, but something I got from Urquidy is that he's a hard worker and he wants to be great out there. So that's another guy that I think could be an X factor for the Astros.
Yeah, he could. Honestly, he's a great candidate for a bounce back year for the Astros, to be honest with you. Didn't have it last year, like we were saying. Very injury prone, but this year he looks different. Mindset looks different, looks healthier. And did you even see him call a game? Did you see him call that
No,
Alvarez home run?
no. Oh, you know what? I think he was being interviewed, right?
Yeah, he was interviewed mid
Okay, yeah.
game from
Mhm.
Callis and Jeff Blum, and that was pretty remarkable to hear him on the mic talking about getting that ball over. Home run, big fly. But speaking of another bounce back candidate, that's going to be Christian Javier. And 2 games so far, he's looked good. He did the second start a little iffy, but it wasn't bad. Combining them 2 games, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts, 3 ERA. Opponent batting average is a 143. So that rising fastball, I think for him it's going to be command, like Hunter Brown command, Christian Javier. If the command is there, you're going to see the version of 2022 El Reptile happen for the Astros, I'd say, because that rising fastball is a deadly weapon for him. And if he could get the off speed, like the curveball and slider working into play, then it's going to be a terrific year for this guy, I would say.
Yeah, and again, and you hit it right there when you said command. 3 walks. I know, you know, it's spring, but that was a major factor. We can limit deep counts too. I think, like, it's not that he would walk pitch hitters on 4 pitches. More like he'll get to 3-2, thrown 8 pitches, 9 pitches, and then it ended up losing the battle, and that really ranked up the pitch count. Really, I think a common trend. Last year was 4 or 5 innings for Christian Javier, and then they need him to go more like 6, 7 innings this year. So command's gonna be a big thing he needs to fix.
Yeah, I think if he can fix that, he should be that guy from 2022, I'd say. If not, then you're going to see version of 2023 Christian Javier of the 4, the 3 innings, all that come into play from last year's perspective. But this going into this season so far, like we're mentioning, the commands are there. Strikeout rates there as well. He did have a high strikeout rate when he pitched in 2022. Um, and like you were saying too, he's going to be a big X factor, like Robert Flores said himself. Being able to go deep into games, 6 to 7 innings, that would be great. Getting to that 5, I'd say 5 to 7. That's where you're aiming at if you're Christian Javier.
I have a question. It just came onto my mind right now.
Mhm.
If Christian Javier has a similar season he had this past season, where you're really only getting 4 or 5 innings out of him, command's not there. What do you make of his contract extension? Again, he signed a 5 year, $64 million contract. What do you do with that? Do you think you try to trade him? Because if you try to trade him with that contract, it's gonna be very hard to. Do you just release him, take your loss, move him to the bullpen? What do you think the game plan would be?
I think it's still going to be starting. You gave the man an extension for a reason, and that is to start baseball games and pitch efficiently. And like you were saying, if he does continue that trend that he was like last season, that didn't pitch very well deep into the games, struggled with command, having runners on base, then you could maybe see possibly bullpen role. But
You see,
I couldn't see him going to the bullpen unless something drastically happens, I'd say.
because if that happens, the Astros would probably have the most expensive bullpen in major leagues with Hader, Rafael Montero, and if Javier doesn't, work out as starter, move into the bullpen. That's an expensive bullpen.
Yeah, and the thing about it too, I mean, who would you replace him in the starting role?
That's the thing. Yeah,
That's another part because
you
you
would
got
have to go
Justin
sign
Verlander.
somebody.
Yeah, and Justin Verlander is going to be, obviously he's getting older, up in age. He's not going to be with the Astros very long. Framber Valdez is coming up into free agency. Of course, Jose Urquidy with his arbitration. Your only two starters at that point would be Hunter Brown and JP France.
Okay.
So think about that. I think, like you said, that would be the most expensive bullpen if they do put Javier into that position. But I just don't see it happening. You paid that guy that money for the reason of him starting baseball games, but at the same time too, he has to do his part and do his job, getting
Yeah.
the outs and going deeper into games for the Astros.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if he doesn't, if you're the Astros front office, you're over scratching your head, like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, pretty much. And last but not least, on the game recaps of pitching, starting pitching is Framber Valdez. That first start was not what he wanted to do in his spring training debut, but he did settle in his second start yesterday versus the Detroit Tigers. He pitched 50, 35 strikes, 4 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 4 strikeouts. The biggest thing to me when I saw that game is that he generated a lot of soft contact, a lot of ground balls, and a lot of flyouts. That is Framber Valdez's bread and butter. And for the Astro success, that is going to be his bread and butter. Continuing to get that ground ball rate, um, as well as getting the strikeouts. Because you've seen Framber Valdez get to like I want to say what career high almost or a season high about 12 or 13 strikeouts last year.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
So and the guy threw a no hitter. If he and that's another guy for the Astros, I'd say.
Yeah.
If he can pitch the way he pitched in 2022, this rotation could be, I'd say, a top 5 rotation in Major League Baseball. But it just depends on year 1, year 2, and year 3. You got to solidify them 3. Astros starting rotation from them, from the years of 2017, from Keuchel, Verlander, Gerrit Cole. They've always had a good a 3-punch rotation. And you forgot to also add Zach Greinke into the mix as well.
Hmm.
If Framber Valdez could be and continue to be that guy, because you've seen what Justin Verlander could do. We talked about Christian Javier, what he needs to do, and if he could do it at the 2022 rate like Framber Valdez does, then these two guys shouldn't have a problem, and the Astros should have a top 5 rotation, I would say, in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just a matter of doing your job, I guess, right? You can say staying healthy, doing your job.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be a big thing. The other part of it too, I wasn't sure. I didn't get to catch it. I don't know. I haven't seen no tweets about it. I haven't seen no information about it either. But the first game, you remember Framber Valdez called his game.
Hmm.
No pitch comp. I'm curious to see if this second game, Yainer Diaz called that game through pitch comp.
Well, I don't know.
That's an interesting note to, figure out to see because, like we said, I mean, this is going to be Yainer Diaz's first year as Astros everyday catcher. And put his hands, it's going to be huge for the veterans like Verlander, Valdez. So, interesting part to see if they if that second game was called by Yainer Diaz or not, or if it was called by Framber Valdez. I would like to see more info about that. But if there is any info, we'll keep you updated to hear about that. Some minor league news: 2 minor leaguers going back to minor league camp. The Astros reassigned right-handed pitcher Spitzer, Eric Getty, and Ray Gaither to minor league camp. They also option a bullpen guy that Angel was talking about, Forrest Whitley. His 4th and final minor league option year this winter.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
do you see him possibly making the MLB roster this year if this is, this is last option, man?
I, I wouldn't. I don't think he makes the opening day roster. Will he see some time in the majors this season? Yes, I, I do believe that. Now, when it might be, a matter of an injury, it might be, maybe try to save some arms in the bullpen. So I think he will see major league action this season. Just probably not early on. What do you think? You're on mute.
Got it now. I mean, I think it does sound interesting to think about that. I mean, that probably could be the target date for him. Remember, he was dealing with that middle finger issue. Spencer Arrighetti is another guy that could be a possibly mid-season call-up or possibly late-season call-up for the Astros, just depending on the health, I would say, for the bullpen. If the Astros starting rotation and bullpen is fully, good to go, I wouldn't see none of these guys making their MLB debuts. I'm leaning towards Arrighetti more than Whitley, just for the fact of having more of that pitching depth, at least the starting depth. But we do remember that Luis Garcia and Lance McCullers Jr. should be already coming back into play in that part of the season. So
Yeah,
biggest
but
thing, this yeah, biggest real quick, biggest thing is just gonna be health and just for them for the Astros.
absolutely, and that's every year. I think the Astros have been fortunate enough that injuries have been to like basically a minimal like the past few seasons, and just last year the wave of injuries just came in. But you know, a bright spot is that they were relentless and about it, and they were still able to win the division. They were still a game away from the World Series, so I'm sure it's going to be the same this year. Like no matter what they do, they're going to be relentless.
Nah, I see what you did there.
Yeah, honestly, that's the only word that came to
Campaign
mind. But
slogan, the Astros
yeah,
campaign slogan is relentless. So I see
but
what you did there.
although the season hasn't started, there was a packed house at Minute Maid Park, and that was for the Savannah Bananas. And honestly, I kid you not, I was surprised at the amount of people that were there. When I heard it was a sold out show, because I didn't even bother looking to go. I don't know, I wasn't interested in
Come on,
going.
man. Come
And
on.
then
You have to too.
it was my grandfather's 75th birthday, so I wasn't even planning on going.
Shout out to
Uh,
Grandpa.
Absolutely. But when I heard sold out, I just thought it was going to be like the first deck, But then I looked at videos and it was like the Crawford box, the second deck, the fourth deck. I was like, oh man, there was more than 41,000 people attended the Savannah Bananas game. It was crazy. And then there were some special appearances from Roger, the Rocket Clemens, and Roy Oswald also pitched out there. Yeah, he made an appearance. They both made an appearance on the mound. Josh Reddick played for the Savannah Bananas as well. You know, what do you think of the atmosphere of the game? How like I know you weren't there as well, but like from what you saw, what did you see?
Dude, the Savannah Bananas are real, man. I can't believe you're not on the hype. It just makes it fun for the game, I'd say.
Yeah,
It just brings a generic original baseball fan that doesn't really know a lot about the abbreviations, a lot about the game. It just brings them out to know about it in a fun way, and I think they're doing a great job doing that. Especially bringing out the retirees, I would say Roger
yeah.
Clemens being on the mound, Roy Oswald. Man, it was giving me some 2005 vibes, dude.
That
A lot of
12-6
2005.
curveball still spinning.
That Uncle Charlie's still there,
Yeah,
man. That Uncle Charlie from Roy Oswald is still there, which he did make an appearance too at first bourbon drink.
mhm.
I believe it's called Houston 44.
Yeah, I think so.
Be interesting to taste. I wonder if it goes down smooth or if it's a little scratchy on the throat.
I think we need to have him on the show and for him to do a little taste test or something.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see about that. But Josh Reddick too coming out. Um, that was pretty special for Astro fans, I would say out there. But just overall, I mean, I think this is the MLB Stadium Tour that they're doing. I think this is the first. The
Mhm.
Astros actually Minute Maid Park was the first
Yeah,
stadium to do the tour. So I think the Savannah Bananas overall, I think it's great for baseball. Just bringing baseball fans into a fun and exciting time to learn and have fun with the game, I'd say.
yeah, absolutely. And it was kind of like giving like playoff atmosphere vibes, with just how packed it was, how loud it was. And do you think if you were to step in and the plate against Roy Oswald, would he strike you out? Would he go deep or what?
I don't know if I would go. I know for sure I would not strike out. I will not strike out. If I do strike out, I'm striking out swinging. But it just depends on the velocity. If he's still throwing 95 up and that
I
12
don't think
6,
he's
I don't know.
95.
I don't think. I mean, it'd be cool if he does throw 95 still, but I mean, I think I could put the ball in play. I don't know about going deep, going to the Crawford boxes, but I know I possibly get a single or a double or triple off of him. Maybe
Yeah,
inside the Parker. Why not?
I think Clemens gave up a home run, if I'm not mistaken. Uh,
No way.
yeah,
I think it was
from my
because of them
sources
Texas.
there, from my
I
sources
think
there at the game,
I think it was the Texas Longhorn cleats that did it.
probably, you know, giggle. But
Shout out to the Ags, undefeated still. I
hey,
think
I think what
they're ranked number 4 now. They're
are
ranked number
they?
4.
Is
Yeah,
Wake Forest still ranked number one? Because they lost to Duke, but
Arkansas.
Duke's Arkansas is ranked number
Arkansas
one.
is the new number one according to Division 1 baseball, and there are two teams undefeated, and one of them is the Fighting Aggies. I just don't know which is the other undefeated team. Not 100% sure.
I have to go back and check. But some big news in spring training. I think the biggest news so far is coming in from Yankees camp, and that is Gerrit Cole is having an MRI in his right elbow. Um, that's a big hit. And then Lance McCullers did say that if they announced that he was having an MRI, they must have seen something. So again, we'll get more information on that when the news comes. But that potentially could be a huge loss for the Yankees because that's they he's coming. Garrett Cole's coming back from a Cy Young year. They signed Juan Soto. They still have Aaron Judge, and they were like they got a lot of. A lot of people were raving about that offense and how that pitching with Cortez and Rondon, but I think this kind of takes them back a little bit because I mean they are losing their Cy Young ace.
So I had to ask this: if they do lose, and hopefully it's nothing worse. I'm hoping for the best for him. If it is a Tommy John situation that he's gonna have to have surgery, if you're the Yankees GM, if you are, I was gonna say Blake Cashman, but that's a football player.
Brian,
Brian Cashman. Do you go after Blake Snell?
that's what I was gonna go to. I was like, at that point, I think you make a bigger offer. You saw what the Astros did when they Kendall Graveman was gonna be done for the season. They went out and got Josh Hader. So I especially the Yankees have bigger pocketbooks. So I think their offer might be a little bit more greater than what they have been offering Blake. So
Yeah, and right now too, Blake Snell's been like strong pursuited to the Angels, I would say.
yeah, which
So
makes sense. They need pitching,
yeah,
but Gerrit Cole might, we're still hearing on news, and then Aaron Judge not expected to play again until Wednesday. Aaron Boone said that Judge is mid-spring beat up, so it's trying to, again, like talking about what the Astros players as well as on the Sprints Marathon, just trying to get them healthy all year round, especially since that toe. I think that's what he aggravated. I
hmm
think he did mention, if I'm not mistaken, it's like it's just gonna be like a tingling problem, like it's gonna be there. You just got to kind of deal with it. So it's not going to fully heal, but it'll be there. And then some exciting things going on in spring training. And I kind of like this. I kind of like, it's great for baseball internationally. And like, I know the Dominican Republic already plays a big presence in baseball and just giving the fans to see, major league players in their home ballpark. That's always amazing to see. So the Red Sox and the Rays played two exhibition games in Estadio Quisqueya in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, part of Major League Baseball's international play. And it was a sold out crowd as well. A lot of people were there. They're having lots of fun. Pedro Martinez and David Ortiz both threw the first pitch in the opening game wearing Red Sox jerseys. And funny enough, Jose Siri and Yanni Diaz were the ones that were on the other end catching the first pitches. So, but it's all fun, uh, for them. I think it's great for the game. You know, I like it, and then I think the Dodgers are playing a regular season game in South Korea, right? It's not spring training games. I just want to make sure.
I believe it's regular season. Dominican Republic. I was gonna actually ask you,
Oh, go ahead.
was that spring training or was that actually
No spring
MLB
training.
play?
Spring
Okay,
training.
I was just trying to make sure. I was like, I mean, it does kind of make it fun for it to be in spring training. I thought it would have been more of a MLB regular season kind of games to count for the season.
Yeah, that's why I was confused about the South Korean game because I know the Astros are playing regular season games in Mexico City, right? But I think the South Korea game's the week before opening day, so that's why I was kind of like confused as to is that spring training or regular season? But I think it is regular season,
Yeah, I'm gonna
and
just
then
double check on our end for that real quick. But go
for
ahead.
sure. But since Otani's not pitching this year, Tyler Glass now will be the one that opened up that game in South Korea, along with Yoshinobu Yamamoto will start game two. So I think they are opening day game. I mean, like regular season games, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so yeah, Padres and Dodgers are MLB regular season games,
Okay.
which is pretty cool. I thought, like I said, I thought it would have been the Dominican Republic too to be counted, but it is what it is. You Darvish is supposed to start game 1 too, I believe, against
for
Tyler
Padres.
Glasnow. So I know that's not Korean, but I would say it's kind of like close to
I'm
South
sure there's gonna be
Korea.
some Japanese fans traveling to South
Yeah,
Korea to go look it up. Yeah.
yeah, because it's not that far from South Korea either,
Mm-mm.
compared to the
Yeah.
United States going all the way over there.
Yeah. And then before we let you go, I think what a lot of people are looking forward to this spring training, and I kind of, it's the inaugural thing about the MLB spring breakout that will start March 14th. So it's just a few days away. 71 out of 100 MLB pipeline prospects will participate in this inaugural spring training event. So exciting to see. I think the Astros will have Spencer. No, I think it's Super Firdo or Getty there to represent.
No, no, no. It's Jacob Melton,
Oh,
Spencer
Melton.
Arrighetti,
There you go.
and Bryce Matthews. Like the highlighted three, I would say, from the top five farm system. Not top five farm system, but the top five prospects in the Astros farm system.
All right, there you go. So, uh, again, we're not we're not sure how much they'll play, but they'll be there to represent Houston.
Yeah, but it should be fun seeing. I mean, Jackson Holiday's another one.
But
Paul
did you hit a grand
Skeens.
slam off
He's going to be in the
Ikaguchi?
pros. He's going to be in the
Yeah,
pros. There's just no way that talent is going to be in the minors. I don't even. I think he makes the opening day roster. I just do.
I think so too.
The kid has a lot of talent. Then some others, Dylan Cruz, Ethan Salas. I think, man, I forgot. I think he's 18 or 19 years old,
I think he's
and
18 now.
I believe somewhere around there. The kid is special. My gosh, number 8 in the top 100, and obviously the number 1 for the Padres, and not just that, but he's already in Double A. So give it
Yeah.
another year. I think he's gonna be in the major soon.
Okay. I think so.
But that is all for the show for today. Thank you for listening to us. And like Angel said, if you haven't seen that ticker yet, continue to look for us on all social media platforms, of course, Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get them. Make sure you subscribe and follow us. And leave us a rate, leave us a review, leave us some comments. Let us know how we're doing. But Angel, you got anything before we sign off?
No, I just appreciate all your support and thank you for listening up.
Yes. And I don't know. We've been saying we've been doing 2 shows this week, but of course, I mean, we have our own personal lives. We have our big things. I think we'll probably do one show this week too, just for the fact of spring training. Just I know Angel for sure teaching. I know how them kids could get. So being able just to relax and get prepared for the regular season coming up too for us. I mean, that's gonna be big. So until then, we'll probably reach out to y'all next week, and y'all stay safe.
Appreciate it.